Hello, everyone. You're probably going to hear my neighbor's dog in the background. He just refuses to stop barking. But I wanted to make sure to get a video out today. It is currently the weekend of Halloween and Samhain, which means I am very busy this weekend. And I didn't have time this morning to record and get it edited and up and everything because, like I said, I do a lot for this holiday. And so I'm very busy. And so this was the only time that I had even a second to record. So we're just doing a voiceover with a clip that I had on my phone from eons ago. So welcome. It's edited solely on my phone. So it's not going to be the usuals of what I normally try to do. But nonetheless, here we are. So these are the 5 witchcraft misconceptions. These are pretty popular. You'll find them a lot in various sources, different books, videos, creators, of all kinds. And so I just wanted to talk about them here today. So without further ado, let's jump in. So our very first one is to blow out a candle. It's supposed to be very offensive to the element of fire. I don't think it has any issues with it, honestly. I've never come into any sort of issue anyway. A lot of traditions will say that it's offensive to fire, that it will blow out your magic, and that it will disperse the energies of it. There's a lot of various reasonings behind why you shouldn't, but I've never found any of them to be true. I've found that it's perfectly fine to blow out your candle. If you want to use a candle snuffer, that's fine. If you want to lick your fingers and pinch out the flame, that works. Personally, I don't like to use the latter just because I feel like that's a safety hazard and I'm a little nervous about it. More often than not, I just use a candle snuffer simply because it tends to not emit quite as much of the smoke. And also, some candles, especially with a longer wick, as you blow them out, can produce ash and little embers. But other than that, I don't think there's any problem with blowing out a candle. Of course, going along with that, a lot of people will tell you that you cannot use a lighter for very similar reasons, that somehow using a lighter is offensive to the craft, to the gods, to the elements. Again, I don't really see why this tends to be promoted, that you should be using matches instead, which is still a fairly more recent invention. It's not quite as new as a lighter, but still, I mean, it's not banging 2 rocks together or whittling twigs together to create a flame. But yeah, a lot of people will say that you shouldn't use a lighter. I've had zero problem with it. A lot of witches that I've gone to public circles with, they use lighters. Also, sorry for the traffic in the background if you can hear it. Despite it being a Sunday, it is really a lot of traffic. So anyways, yeah, I don't know why lighters are always included and that matches are somehow better. But yeah, I always use a lighter. I think it's the safer and easier option. I almost forgot about this story, so I'll tell this as a reason that I prefer lighters over using a match. And so many moons ago, actually, at my dad's house where I'm currently house sitting, I had my altar set up and I went to use a match and the match head broke off, caught, finally on fire as it's supposed to do when you strike it. And then it proceeded to land onto my altar cloth. Flame plus cloth equals fire. So just be careful with using matches. And especially the small little ones that a lot of people will sell for like travel altars and different things like that. Those sticks are really brittle and are really hard to get to actually ignite anyways. So just be careful with that. I just wanted to include that little story of why I don't like to use the actual matches opposed to a lighter. The exception being if I'm doing like a bonfire outside in our fire pit, then I will probably use matches to some degree just to help get the fire going, but that's it. So our next point is one that recently came up in Buckland's book, and I've seen it in other places as well. And it's the idea that you cannot wear jewelry in circle. I've never really had a problem with this, and I don't know why people would. I know there's a number of traditions that say you shouldn't use metals in circle at all. The only exception possibly being like the handle to your cauldron and the athame blade. But other than that, like you're not supposed to use any kind of metal. Also, sorry, there is a very loud truck driving by. It's kind of a lost cause at this point. Anyways, but I like to have my witchy ritual jewelry. I wear it all the time, actually. They're all charged and infused. I've never had any problems with it. If anything, I feel like wearing them as I do magic because, you use your hands mostly as the tool to send the energy out, and so they just get extra charged every time. And so I've never had a problem with it. Same with my necklaces and stuff. I will wear them all the time. Again, I've never had a problem with it, but some people, they just feel like it does. But I feel like that's a pretty big misconception. I feel like a lot of people tend to wear their witchy jewelry all the time, and just jewelry in general. You know, I don't see a lot of witches taking off their wedding rings simply because they're in a circle. That seems kind of weird. But yeah, I just wanted to include that here as well, especially because we just talked about this like a couple days ago, and I just kind of had briefly mentioned it in that video, so I figured we'd go a little bit more in depth for this one. Our next one is one that I, again, had found when I was reading through Buckland's book, and I've seen it in other places as well, and that is that for the Sabbats, the points in the Wheel of the Year, you are not supposed to do any magical working unless it is an emergency, and really like an emergency healing kind of a thing. And I've never found that to be the case. It's quite the opposite for myself. I found that the Sabbats are a wonderful time to be doing magic. All right, and then our final misconception that you will find a lot in witchcraft, and that is wearing black. Now, the misconception goes both ways, that you usually will find witches wearing black, and that it's a required color to wear. Personally, I like the color black. It's one of my favorite colors, if not my favorite color. And so naturally, my ritual garb is going to be black with color accents here and there. But other people say that we shouldn't feed into that misconception, and that a lot of traditions will require you to wear a different color, and that you should wear white, which honestly, I'm not sure that I would ever want to wear white for anything outside of my wedding, and even then, I kind of wonder if I should have picked a different color. But really, there are so many traditions that will say that you need to wear green, or you need to wear browns, or you need to wear just kind of colors you see out in nature, and I've tried it multiple different ways. But personally, I always just come back to the color black. I find it to be the best color. I don't mind feeding into that stereotype, but a lot of witches don't appreciate that. So anyways, that is my final misconception. And again, by no means this is the end-all list of witchy misconceptions, but these were just the ones that I had kind of noticed over the past month or so and just kind of started to jot down. So anyways, I would love to hear which ones you have experienced and which ones kind of catch your interest in the comments down below. Thank you to my patrons. I probably will not have their names on the screen this time. They will be in the description because it's really hard to get the text to pop up where you want it when you are editing on a phone. So I'll just have your names listed in the description as a thank you. They'll be the top ones. But thank you to the 4 of you who have been supporting me on Patreon. You will be getting more content coming soon. As we move into November, we're moving out of Inner Temple of Witchcraft and out to Outer Temple of Witchcraft. And then, of course, I'll have more extended discussions coming up for the other tier. So we've got a lot of stuff going on Patreon. Of course, here on the channel, I post every single day, even if sometimes it's a little hodgepodge because I have a very busy day ahead and I have to drive even further than I thought I would because we found one of our family graves yesterday that we've been meaning to go to for a while, and it's only 30 minutes further north than we intended. So we are going to be driving for about like 2 to 3 hours each direction. So that'll be fun. So we're going to be very busy today. So anyways, for the most part though, I do try and post every single day, even if it's stuff like this. So anyways, thank you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every day. Come, finding old clips on my phone and doing a voiceover while I feed my dad's cat, or if I can actually edit and do it properly. But anyways, thank you for watching, and until next time, blessed be.